to say anything before you go out?
Mother Nature, be kind to me.
My father first started noticing it. It was around about the same time I was having problems kite surfing, and we took my family up to Airlie Beach because he lives on the catamaran up at Airlie Beach where he works. And there was this one day where we got off the boat, jumped in Dad's dinghy, and went across to one of the islands.
And during this time, I noticed once or twice Kirk on the boat kind of stumbled and just didn't look as balanced as he normally would be. And also we did a walking trip on one of the islands. We went from Sid Harbour on Whitsunday Island round to Dugong Beach and returned, and Kirk was complaining and mentioned that his ankles were sore, his feet were sore and weren't holding up. And over the next several months they eliminated all the things that it wasn't and came up with the verdict that he had motor neurone disease.
When we were on our trip, I really noticed it when I went whale shark diving, and we dived in the water, and I really struggled just to go snorkeling. And now it's the point where I can't even sit in the bath because the pressure of water just in the bath around my chest, it doesn't allow my chest to open up. So while that happens, I need a bit of help to breathe. So at night, when you go rest, you'll go in what's called REM mode, REM sleep. And what that does is relaxes all your muscles, and that's no good for when you're sleeping, especially for the diaphragm. So I'm now on what's called a BiPAP machine, and that helps me breathe during the night. Otherwise, I sort of stop breathing, or I wake up really tired because I just haven't got the oxygen in my body. Yeah.
Morning, buddy. How are you today? Sleep well?
Good. So allow me over.
I was certainly having trouble coping with knowing how Kirk was battling so much with MND here in Tasmania while we were still up there in the Whitsundays, living and working there. So we made the decision to quit work temporarily, have our boat pulled out of the water and put on hard stand for storage, and we decided to relocate for whatever time it takes and come down to Tasmania to be closer to Kirk, Joe and Anthony, so that I could help and be close to Kirk and just share life with him, whatever it might bring, on a daily basis.
It's progressed up my legs, so I've totally lost the ability pretty much from my hip down. I've got to move my legs with my hand.
I'll see if I can do something out of this.
Anyway, a spaceship with arms on it, so you can grab things with the spaceship.
Oh, okay. Yep.
That type of spaceship.
You might do something like this again.
It's working its way through my hands. Your muscles just slowly disappear.
He was born to be in the water. That's pretty much it. He was born to be a water baby. He was always in the water doing surfing, boating, kite surfing. He'd always be on something strange and just doing something in the water. It's like he was born to do it. It was his life, like the surf club, and you can see that from the rapport and the family that he has.
In that time, I wasn't much into the competitive side, but meeting a friend, Craig Machen, who was my coach and fellow teammate, inspired me to get into competition, and that was a load of fun. I love competing, and I love jumping on the ski. I mean, it was all to do with surfing, and I love to surf. It was where I met Craig and his family, and a few of the other guys from the surf club who are still in my life now, and the support that I've had from Craig.
I don't so much remember competing against Kirk, but more so with Kirk.
Craig got in contact with me again when he found out that I had motor neurone disease. And one of his bucket list things that he has always wanted to do was to paddle around Tasmania. And his inspiration, he told me, was my Uncle Tony, who was the first person to paddle around Tasmania, including Flinders and King Island. So his plan was to paddle around Tasmania and do it in a way that we can raise some funds for research, and also to help other people with motor neurone disease.
We're here to get around the state, and I'm here to get back for Kirk so I can see him, and so that we can have a big hug and be pleased with our efforts, our combined efforts of what we've done to raise money for MND Tas.
What he's doing is incredible, not just for Kirk, but for the risk that he's taking, you know, for himself and his own family, you know, to circumnavigate Tasmania. It's a huge thing. There's rough waters. Craig would do this for any of his friends. He's an amazing man. He's very strong-willed. He's very determined, and I think the passion that he had, the passion's going to drive him.
4th of January 2017, day one of this epic adventure. A large gathering of supportive well-wishers were at the Burnie Surf Lifesaving Club today to watch me paddle off at 9:20 a.m, along with a group of paddling mates on all type of craft. To be cheered and clapped as I paddled off made me very proud to be undertaking this task, and very proud of the community I live in. of January 2017, day 8, Bicheno to Wineglass Bay, 37.5 kilometres, my shortest day so far. This was meant to be an easy recovery paddle down the coast in preparation for a big one tomorrow. Alas, it wasn't meant to be. Those damn headwinds again. Well, I'm not going to say too much tonight because I'm physically smashed. Lovely to be greeted by friends and family once again at the finish. Bedtime now. know the other zig's on the front seat. I'll take this one with me. 15th of January 2017, day 12. Bruny Island to Southport. 50 kilometres in 6 hours and 10 minutes. Today was the hardest physical and mental challenge of my life. Coming into Southport was the most spent I've ever been in my life, both mentally and physically. It was all I could do to pull the paddle through the water. I felt like I was just going up and down on the spot. I was doing quarter strokes because I just couldn't physically push the paddle out. My triceps were burning, my abs were burning, my whole body was just crying out for wanting to get to the shore and stop, and I felt like my muscles were going to burst out the back of my arms. It was so painful. I was dizzy, I had blurred vision, and when I hit that beach, you saw me. There was no step off the ski and hello everyone, I'm here. I just couldn't budge. I was shattered.
About here somewhere. There it is. Hop Creek. So that's where I am now, Lochie. But I've got to get back to there. Oh dear. Still seems to be a long way. Oh dear.
17th of January 2017, day 14, a rest day. Tony Cowgirl and brother Tom arrived today with their safety boat Grumpy 2 and an inshore rescue boat. Today was a big prep day as we had to load sufficient supplies to last over and beyond the estimated paddle time, just in case the weather prevented us getting to civilisation at Macquarie Heads on time.
He said, I want to paddle around the state, raising money, and I need someone to do the West Coast. And I went, didn't think he was talking about me, but wondering if I knew somebody. But since I'd been down there earlier that year, I think he must have thought, oh, you can do it.
Today, Tony spoke to a local cray fisherman who had very strong doubts about us paddling beyond the Southwest Cape due to forecast conditions. Tony and I had also been studying weather, sea conditions and possible portages, and we believed it was possible. This was an extremely tough paddle, which pushed me to the absolute limit of everything I had to give. For the first time in my life, I got seasick whilst paddling. Not a nice thing to say, but I actually vomited at least 10 times, only to re-swallow so as to retain vital nutrients and fluid. What a punishingly long day. Initially, we had intended to stay the night at Cox Bight, but due to the weather, it was to be safer to get to New Harbour, which unfortunately meant I had to push on a bit further to reach. That's the longest day's paddling I've ever done in my life. It was tough. I had to dig deep. The conditions were painful. Don't want to do that again. On arrival, Tony misjudged the shallow, sandy bottom as he got closer for us to unload, and we spent the next 2.5 to 3 hours pulling and pushing at the 3.5 ton boat to get it off the sand.
He was pretty tired and exhausted, especially after helping push the boat out. And I think we were hoping and we thought that the next few days were going to be really good. Little do we know what's going to happen in a couple of days' time.
Punching into 20 knot headwind and side wind for the most part of the day. It's 20 knots, so it's going to be hard. I became so exhausted today that I hallucinated at the 7-hour mark when I came aboard the IRB, and I had a moment where I thought I was a World War II digger in the trenches. I remember laying in the IRB, listening to my breathing and blowing bubbles in the water laying in the boat. A voice kept telling me to get up and out of the trench and run or you'll be shot. Once I managed to get up, I climbed into the main boat and began to eat bananas and almonds almost as if I was on autopilot.
Yep, yep.
I asked the question of how far to go, only to be told another 16 kilometres. How demoralising.
How is it out there?
I'm stuffed. The longer I remained, I gained composure and could decipher the fact that the others were talking to me and telling me I didn't have to keep pushing if I didn't want to.
Well, we're just now off Nye Bay. We're about an hour and a half out of Low Rocky Point. Travelling along. We've been travelling between 4 and 5 knots, 8 to 10 kilometres an hour. And Craig has been doing an incredible job in this short 15 to 20 knot northwesterly. Started at 9 o'clock, it's now 4 o'clock. 7 hours he's been paddling continuously. Well done. Oh, epic, mate. Unreal. What a day. Westerly, cardinal westerly, yeah, which has given us quite a bit of side action to deal with. It's made it pretty tough. Talk to Dan.
Yeah.
I'll put him on. Here's the man in question.
How you going? Good. Oh, big day. Yeah, nine and a half hours.
You want to drive around now?
To do 66 Ks.
Say anything before you go out?
Mother Nature, be kind to me. I started off paddling in almost impossible conditions, moving at 1 knot for the first 10 kilometres before Tony called safety on me and said, enough is enough. A fading body, a body slowly giving up the ghost, nerves dying, muscles wasting, and knowing that you can't retrieve or go back to the point that you were prior to that. So there's no recovery. So how you handle that mentally, you've got to be superhuman. I think it takes a pretty special person to be able to handle something like that, and our friend Kirk Dicker is that special person who handles that. He's got strength in bucket loads. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, but it still pales into insignificance when it's compared to someone who has a terminal illness of any sort.
You're doing an amazing job. Everyone's blown away by what you're doing.
Thank you, thank you. It's still a bit deflating not doing this leg today, but you know, common sense had to prevail.
Yeah, that's right, that's right.
I would have killed myself, and it just wasn't safe.
This whole journey of Kirk's through his M&D progress, or regression, should I say, as I said before, has been quite traumatic. It's, how can I put it, instinctively unnatural for a father to watch a child's life be sucked away in front of him.
I think even now I'm not used to it. I'm prepared for what's happening, but watching the deterioration is quite hard. As one of his best friends, it's quite hard to see. But then I see the love that he has in his family, and that, you know, I know that he's got everything he could ever want in his son and in his, you know, his partner Joe and his dad, and he's got everything that he needs in his friends and everything. So that makes me feel happy that he can have that support, and he's going to leave a legacy, and that makes me happy.
I just hope he gets to enjoy the bucket list item that he wanted to do, not treat it as getting around there at 100%. I want him to live it.
Always trying to crack a win against, you know, the likes of Bernie and Penguin at the time, who were really strong in board paddling. When we finally broke through with the team of Kirk Dicker, Greg Stubbs and myself, that was a pretty significant moment for a little club, and we were over the moon about that because we knew it had never been done. The club went on and we won several of those board relays. But for that first one, that was pretty special.